Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be telling you about the new film that's actually the directorial debut of the famous cinematographer Wally Pfister. Wally Pfister has done a lot of the cinematography work for Christopher Nolan's films over the past several years, I believe all the way back to Memento. So he's worked with Christopher Nolan quite a few times. And so this is his shot at directing a film. It's called Transcendence. And in Transcendence, you guys, there's a scientist couple played by Johnny Depp and Rebecca Hall. And they're big into artificial intelligence. They've been researching it for years. They're kind of into the nature part of it, how, artificial intelligence would handle nature, how the earth works, things of that nature. And so they give this giant speech at this event of some kind, both Rebecca Hall's character and Johnny Depp. And there's a few people there that are kind of uncomfortable with this new project that Johnny Depp is about to take on. This guy feels that it would kind of challenge the way God meant things to work here on Earth. It would challenge evolution for people who believe in that kind of stuff. And so this guy is just really uncomfortable with this big project that Johnny Depp's about to take on with artificial intelligence. And there's another guy who is really against it too, and he's actually more so against what Johnny Depp's about to do, to the point where, and this isn't a spoiler, this is actually shown right in the trailer, so this really doesn't spoil anything. Um, this guy basically shoots Johnny Depp, and there's something that he doesn't get killed like the trailer suggests. You'll see in the when you watch the film, a series of events happens, and over time he dies from something else. That's the best way to put it without me spoiling it. But he does die somehow, some way. The trailer does hint toward that, and basically they upload his brainwave files to this advanced computer that's very artificial intelligence heavy. And Rebecca Hall's character really wants this. Really wants her husband to live. She loves him. They worked on all these projects for several years, and she really wants to be with him. His life was just so incredibly short that she really wants to basically continue his life with him, and he's obviously going to continue his life through another way, through another source. So he gets uploaded to this computer, and immediately when he gets plugged in, he wants more power. He wants more things plugged in. He wants access to more things. He wants more access to more internet related fields and files and things of that nature. And so Paul Bettany, who's kind of in all this too, he's a close friend of this. The doctor's name was Will Castor. That's who Johnny Depp plays. And the wife's name was Evelyn. That's who Rebecca Hall's plays. I forgot to mention their names earlier for the characters. And so Paul Bettany plays a guy named Max Waters. He's also big into artificial intelligence, and he's also big into computer programming. And he tells Rebecca Hall right away that he notices something off about the whole thing. He's kind of curious why he's plugged in so early, and yet he wants so much more power available to him. And so, he really thinks this isn't Will Castor. He really thinks that it's another kind of source that makes them believe it's Will Castor, but it isn't. And so, Rebecca Hall's like, no, 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 this is my husband. He clearly knows about things that, a computer would not know. And so there's kind of these big fight between these two people because, one of them's thinking, it's not really Will Castor like you think it is. And the other wife's like, no, 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 this is him. He clearly knows things that, a computer wouldn't know. And by keeping Will Castor alive in this computer, aka Johnny Depp, um, all these things start happening. He gets the wife basically gives him more power to do more things, and as a result, and because this computer system is so powerful and strong, and it demands so much power sources in order for it to work, Johnny Depp basically controls other things outside of the internet with this artificial ability that he has. And as a result, the way Earth works and the way Earth is formed and living um, all becomes different through this transcendence abilities that Johnny Depp's character actually is able to maintain. And Rebecca Hall has to stop him before it goes too far, as well as all these other people who are on her side as far as getting Earth to being naturally made the way God meant it to be. So that's basically the plot of Transcendence, you guys. And for the positives and negatives of this film, I really like how Wally Pfister, who directed the film, I really like how he applied some neat film concepts to this. There really was some neat concepts here, about how life works, how life got developed, how life kind of evolved over time, how God views life. All those kind of things are covered in this. And it's really neat how Wally Pfister applies those concepts here. I really like the interesting dialogue that happened. Certain characters, they're talking about how, Earth is meant to be natural. It's meant to be, Earth running by itself and not artificial intelligent sources running it. And so there's a lot of those kind of questions and concerns brought up throughout the film. And it's very interesting. I really like how Wally Pfister tackles those subjects. And since Wally Pfister is a cinematographer, it is very appropriate to say that the cinematography in this is very good, even if Wally Pfister didn't do the cinematography himself. But because he is the director and because he has a cinematography background, I'm sure him and that current cinematographer he was working with very much got along, making sure everything was working great, that, the thing that we know Wally Pfister the best for manages to be maintained here while he's directing the film. So very brilliant job on that end. Paul Bettany, Johnny Depp, and Rebecca Hall all give great performances here. I'm very happy with all the performances that the three of them gave to this film. So very good job to all three of them. I like the interesting approach on artificial intelligence and kind of how they view life, how humans view life, how animals view life. Kind of just how the society in general views life. Just a very interesting approach on artificial intelligence. And I kind of like how Wally Pfister kind of applies some things that he learned from Christopher Nolan. I like the Christopher Nolan inspired filmmaking style that he has here. There's elements of Christopher Nolan sprinkled every once in a while, but yet he has his own style. He has more of a Wally Pfister has more of a fantasy based approach here. So it's not too much like Christopher Nolan, since Nolan has more of a grounded in reality type of feeling to his films. So I like how Wally Pfister kind of took Christopher Nolan's style, but went more of a fantasy route with it, and it very much represented kind of how Christopher Nolan inspired him in a way to probably take on this directing job. But for the negatives of this film, since this isn't perfect, I would say Transcendence is a good film, but it's not a great film. And my reasonings for that are it really needed some more character development. There really were a lot of flat characters here. I'm one of those people where if you put Morgan Freeman in the film, make sure you give him a lot to do because, I mean, it's Morgan Freeman. He's one of my favorite actors. He's probably a lot of people's favorite actors. And he really needed more to do here. And I really wish Kate Mara was kind of flat in this film. And who else was Cillian Murphy was in the film. He's worked with Christopher Nolan before, and he worked with Wally Pfister in this one. Even he had a lot of his character was very flat here. It felt like anybody could play him. It didn't have like a Cillian Murphy stamp to it. Just once again, the film needed a lot more character development. Johnny Depp, Rebecca Hall, and Paul Bettany were really the only three characters in this film that really kind of they had basically any development. I mean, they were the only characters that had some form of development at all. And really, none of the other characters outside of those three really had any development at all. So that really kind of bothered me after a while. I think the film could have benefited from some more action movie elements. There's a lot of scenes in this film that really want to be an action movie, and it's really too bad that they didn't go that route because if they did, I think the film would benefit with being more so an action film. Because, I mean, the sci fi elements were great here, but I think if it had an action movie element mixed in with it, I think it would have been even better. Because there were action scenes in it, but you definitely left the theater wishing that there was more. Because there was a lot of scenes that really could have made some really cool action scenes. And unfortunately, Wally Pfister doesn't really go that route with some of the scenes here. So I think the film would have benefited with some more action movie elements. The film's also very slow at times. There's a lot of scenes in here that really drag on for much longer than they need to. I don't know if Wally Pfister just really wanted to focus on dialogue for those scenes or cinematography, but there's really some scenes here that really drag on for too long. And for this film being 2 hours, it does feel a little bit longer than that, to tell you the truth. And yeah, there's some scenes in here that really need to pick up the pace. Um, I think the film also needed some more original elements to it. There's a lot of scenes in here that borrow from a lot of already existing sci-fi films and some sci-fi TV shows. So I think Wally Pfister would have benefited from a film that had much more original filmmaking elements and more original storyline elements to it. Because what we saw here was it was very similar to what we've already gotten from some earlier sci-fi films, I thought. Also, the film suffers from a sloppy ending. It just takes on way too much at once by the end. There's so many ideas laid out on the table that by, they have to wrap up all of them all at once. And as a result, the ending's just a little bit sloppy. The very, very last scene is fine. It kind of adds closure to the opening scene, but um, just the overall ending to me in general is very sloppy. It literally had to like close six different ideas at once, and as a result, it felt like it was all over the place. And I really wish the ending of this film would have been much better written. So I give Transcendence an overall basic 8 out of 10. It's not quite good to be 8.5, and it's not quite good to be a 9 out of 10 either. Obviously, if it's not a 9 and it's not 8.5, then obviously it'll be an 8. But yeah, a solid 8 out of 10. It's a good film. I'll be honest too, I can't see myself watching this multiple times. It's not one of those kind of films. It's a good one time view, I think. If you like science fiction films, if you like what Wally Pfister has done as a cinematographer with Christopher Nolan, and you're curious to see kind of his approach on filming, directing a movie, it's worth checking out. Like I said, it's a good one-time viewing. View it in the theater if you really want to see it. If you're kind of on the edge on this one, I think you could wait till Redbox or Netflix or whatever. Like I said, it's a good film. It's worth checking out eventually. It's not like, oh my God, you got to go around to the theater to go see it kind of film. Good film. It's worth checking out. It's good, not great, so go into it knowing that. But Transcendence, it's a pretty good film, but like I said, just don't expect a masterpiece with this one.